So today we're going to learn how to replace the battery in a Gardiner backpack. This is the old one. Now, one of the wonderful things about these is that they last for years. As you can see, this one's had a very, very long life. But eventually the heat wave comes, well it did for me anyway, the heat wave came, and both of mine needed the batteries replacing. So you'll find that basically if your battery life is just dying after a few houses, then it's time for a new battery. So why don't we look at batteries now? These are the old ones. Let's have a look at the new one. Now these come with spade connectors, but at the factory they actually just solder the cable straight on. Now I did have some spare spade connectors which I've attached to this, so now it's very easy and quick to change with no tools, except for a screwdriver. But I've run out of spade connectors, at least these 4.8mm ones, so I'll be buying some more of them. So my recommendation is, if you're going to do this, upgrade it to spade connectors, so that way it's always easier in the future. So let's get started. So the first step is to remove all these screws on the bottom of it here. Now I'm just going to set this camera up, just bear with me. Okay, let's get started. Oh, always wear safety glasses, by the way. Okay, so once you get to here, you've got 4 connectors holding on the battery. Sorry, 4 screws. Remove. Carefully, of course. Now, before you start working on anything like that, soldering and desoldering, you'll always have some life left in your battery, so let's see, just measure it. So just visibly, I'm just checking, are these the same size? And they certainly do look like it. There we go. Doesn't have to be millimetre perfect, but it has to be extremely close, and this is extremely close, so that's fine by me. So the tools you'll need for the job are a soldering iron, and a little bit of solder. Now you can't just go ahead and melt that on there and try and desolder it like that. Let's see if that works. Struggling to get a good connection. To get a good connection, just use a little bit of solder and I'll free that right up. Be careful if you're soldering with lead, don't breathe it. There we go. So that's now connecting, melting. There we go. Beautiful. And that just comes straight off. For legal reasons, this is not advice, this is purely for entertainment only. Do not try this at home. You know the rest. Perfect. Okay. Careful with your soldering iron. If you own one, you probably know how to do it safely, so I'm not going to tell you how to do that. As you can see, always check your polarities first. You got red to red and black to black. That's, couldn't be simpler. This one, delivered, less than 20 quid. Bargain, absolute bargain. I got to commend the Gardiner team as well for what they've done with these backpacks. It really, really is good. This thing's lasted for years. Both these batteries have lasted for years. One's 5 years, one's 3 years. Light usage, obviously. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to add a little bit of solder onto the spade connector. Going to add those cables. And hopefully just let it sit there. Perfect, that'll do. Give it an extra blob for good measure. That does your red. Let's do the black. We're going to add some solder directly to the spade connector, but this time I'm going to do it the proper way. paper. Let's see what we can find. Bit of paper. This is just going to protect the battery from having solder stuck onto the plastic. Right. So step one. Tin the connector. So I recommend don't do this. I prefer spade connectors, but if you've not got any spade connectors, this is what you're going to do. Then you take your connector, just add that on there. Nice and easy. Beautiful. So let's have a look at that. So we've got a new battery on. Now let's test it the usual way with the switch. Yeah, that sounds pretty powerful. It's not connected to anything, so that's why it's hopefully why it didn't turn over there. Okay, so let's see what we can do here. I'll just get this camera set up. Perfect. Right, let's try and get this all put back in then. Safe and sound. So I've really got to commend Gardiner for their quality. Doing a great job. Whatever you do not mix up these screws. They're long and short ones, you don't want to mix them up. Take your time with this step, because if you get that wrong, you will regret it. Always torque it up to the lowest possible setting. Sorry, I can't tell you what to do, can I? Legal reasons. I always torque it up to the lowest possible setting. Because it's plastic. You don't want to damage it. Right. So that's that done. I recommend working a cross thread pattern. I don't think it's necessary, no. But it's what people do. When you're applying something flat, you don't want it to kind of come to the end and have a little bit of a bulge either, and by having a cross pattern, it just protects against that, reduces the chance that it'll have bulges. Not necessary, but a small touch that just makes for a perfect fit. There we are. That's all working properly. Done. And that is how you change a battery in one of them. That's 2 new batteries installed. So that cost practically nothing. That was like 40 quid. Less than 40 quid for like £36 for 2 brand new batteries from Tainer. Let's hope we get another 3 or 4 or 5 years out of them. So yeah, costs nothing, takes practically no time. And yeah, this one doesn't have water in it. It's a dry system, so you can actually hear it going. Oh, actually, it does have water in it. Oh yeah, that's one more thing to remember. I just transferred the water from that one into this one. When you're tipping it over on its side, you do not want water going everywhere, so make sure that it's empty. Whenever you're working on the system, always empty the system before working on it. Wear safety glasses, work slow, and as always, this is just for entertainment purposes. Please do not try this at home, because I don't want to get sued. There we go. So let's take it out for a test run and see how it performs in the field on the job. So here it is, fitted. Let's test it out and see how it goes. Perfect. Brilliant. Nice and powerful. Good as new. Perfect.